Good day, ladies and gents. This is Blue Knight 7, returning again. But this time I want to do something different. I don't want to just talk about Nintendo. I want to talk about a game that had consistently stayed in my top 10 games of all time for a long time, and then it kind of dropped out a couple years ago, or probably maybe a little less than that. But it's Overwatch, formerly known as Overwatch 2, formerly known as Overwatch. And today I just wanted to kind of give an ode to Overwatch, talk about the good memories, if you will, and why I'm trying to get back into it even though I'm pretty rusty. I'll admit I actually made a couple of matches before I recorded this, but I'm going to try to get back in here into this, and I'm going to try to expand my channel a little bit and just kind of expand my skill set here as I continue to make content. That being said, uh, the reason why I would say was one of my top 10 favorites is, and keep in mind, I was playing it day one. I played it at launch. I bought the collector's edition of this game at launch. But I was a big Blizzard fan at the time. I was playing StarCraft, still one of my all-time top tens. StarCraft 2, I was playing pretty heavy at the time. And I just always was a fan of Blizzard, even going back to the 90s, rock and roll racing. Who else could make an RC Pro Am style racer for 16-bit consoles that has as much lore and world building as that game had? That sort of thing. And for me, at least, as someone who didn't really enjoy multiplayer shooters that much, who didn't really get into that sort of thing, wanted that sort of thing, it was like an amazing thing for me just to be able to enjoy a game like that. I played a little bit of Call of Duty. I played a little bit of, say, the GoldenEye 007 made for the Wii. But I wasn't really like a hardcore multiplayer gamer, hardcore FPS gamer even. So this game was a little weird for me, but it was Blizzard. Like, I knew it was good, and I knew it. The intro trailers for the story, just spent time perusing their website to pick up on the story. Read coverage, news coverage of the game before it came out. I just knew this was something I would really enjoy. And when it first launched, it did not let me down. It really didn't. Um, so, with all that in mind, I played it for years, pretty heavy, regular in a way I didn't play other games, some other games. And whenever they did an event, I tried to participate, especially the archives events in 2017, 18, 19. And where they started to lose me, I think, was shortly after Overwatch 2. There was sort of this lull and lack of content between the release of Echo as a hero and Overwatch 2. I started playing a little less during that period, and then when Overwatch 2 launched, I got back in for a while, but the Battle Pass system frustrated me. To me, loot boxes were always enough, but the Battle Pass thing kind of frustrated me, and I hung around for the player versus enemy modes, the promise of Overwatch 2 that we would actually get something like a campaign that would push the story forward, but then that kind of sputtered and died. And I kind of fell out by that point because I'm just like, what's the point? And though I enjoyed the indirect world building and lore drops of the game before that, it just wasn't the same, you know? And that it just kind of trickled out. I think part of that was new leadership. Part of that was the Microsoft Activision merger. I don't think that was very kind to Blizzard or worked out for the best for Blizzard. I really don't. And that's kind of fell out. But there's been some recent announcements, and I'm trying to get back into the game just to see where it goes. I'm trying to give Blizzard another chance on this game. I'm trying to give Overwatch a chance. And for those who don't know, the big news is that they are did sort of a soft reboot of this game. They're dropping the Overwatch 2 because the 2 on Overwatch 2 because quite frankly that was always kind of stupid. And we're back to just regular Overwatch. Just Overwatch the game. And you could call that growing pains of live services, figuring out what works, what doesn't. You're probably right, but uh, this is the way it should have been all along. And I'm curious to see what the new season, which I believe starts tomorrow, holds. Really am. Now, I think, as I understand it, there's going to be 5 new heroes tomorrow. Start the new season. Then there's going to be 5 more over the next 4 seasons following, so about 5 season long event where we literally get 10 heroes. That's unprecedented. In a good year, in the heyday, you get 3 a year. So this is about triple or a little more than triple what you normally get for heroes. They have said they're not going to be able to sustain that rate. Like they're not doing that every season or every 5 seasons. But they are trying to do it this time to make a splash. Good idea. Good idea. It changes up the game, gives you a bunch of new lore at once. It just for this game, the way it works, for the things it needs to work, it just makes sense. And also, even though the PvE um, idea kind of failed in the end, they are committed, it seems, to helping the story finally feel like it's going forward. Now, this is new to me. They include this story section where they give you a pretty good story so far, cinematic, and then they start dropping the most recent motion comics version of the comics, hero trailers for the last 3 heroes they've dropped, and some other motion comic style cinematics where they show the story going forward, and then capped it off with a trailer that they, as you can tell, they kind of kept it as a surprise. They kept it as a trailer here, and I won't spoil it, but where it really finally makes you feel like the story's really going forward, with Vendetta here as the driver of the going forward part of the story. It's kind of like she's this character we've probably been waiting to see for about 10 years now, but we just hadn't seen till now. And she's clearly going to be a very important big bad in the story going forward. So I'm just going to say watch her related trailers. You'll catch up pretty quick. And also interesting is that a lot of this recent stuff references characters we've heard about, thought we would eventually see as a hero that would drop, and now we're actually seeing them. Ombre being a particularly big one that we're seeing tomorrow. And Jetpack Cat, that's a long story. It's more on the development side, but that was a hero they never could quite get to work, I think, and I guess they figured it out. So yeah, tomorrow, Jetpack Cat, I'm there. Um, but I would encourage. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to encourage people to kind of watch these and catch yourself up, or get on the YouTube channel for Play Overwatch and catch yourself up. I spent some time last night doing just that. I never really was a big competitive player. I think I got up to silver at one point, but I never tried Stadium. If you can't tell, I may do that later. But for right now, I just want to do unranked because that's probably where I spent most of my hours in the past. I just always enjoyed unranked. Um, Open queue, I used to like it in the old days, prefer it, but more recent, I kind of feel like roll queue kind of makes more sense because it helps keep matches and teams sane. Like, I'm not trying to be one of those toxic competitive people, but when you only have one support in a team, I can tell you it doesn't always work out well. But just for the, I usually played support and tank, by the way. But just for the fun of it, let's get into a quick play roll queue. And they give you XP if you play a certain role because everybody wants to play damage. So I'm just going to hit sup- let's just hit flex and see what happens. But yeah, I used to main more in the tanks and supports. Lucio was kind of a major support I would play a lot. Um, and I'd probably bounce between Brigitte, or Brigitte, sorry if I'm butchering the name, Anna, uh, after Lucio. Tanks, Winston, played him a lot, played Orisa, Reinhardt. Oh yeah, I need to vote, don't I? Let's go for Oasis, since everybody else is. And I would always play around with Wrecking Ball to try to get good at him, but I never could quite get there. Attack, Farah, Cassidy. Uh, they want me to be a tank. We're gonna go with Winston because he's my number one main for sure.
A better world is possible today.
No one's a natural. We all have to put in the work. Hello. We're playing by my rules.
I guess my biggest hope for the new season is that they kind of deliver on this promise and make it feel like you're advancing the story because they're going to include missions tailored around the idea that Talon has started a new war of Overwatch and is on the attack. So, just want to see if it really feels like you're doing something to advance the story of the lore of this game. You know, everybody has their preferences on heroes. I always appreciate the fact that there's always enough heroes to make you feel like you had choices as to your playstyle. The main reason I liked Winston so much is he was real good at I just enjoy messing with people with him. He can jump about anywhere in the game. So I just like to jump, disrupt, get past the tank, and just attack the supports, which is kind of what you're supposed to do with him if you're playing Winston right. Less about shielding other teammates and more about drawing their fire and trying to do some damage where you can do damage.
It's never too late to try again.
That's right, buddy. always found a good Winston is someone that keeps moving, and you're probably going to die a lot anyway, but that's the point, because you're trying to take damage the attackers and support don't need to be taking. Yeah, he has a shield, but that's not really the point of him. It can't help. He can keep support fire off of him. But a good Winston is trying to use his jump and his health to draw fire, help people get to the objective, or if they're not doing, the rest of your team's not doing their job, get to the damn objective. Shield, it does help with distant characters like Widow firing at you. It doesn't last long, but it gives you, it can sometimes give you a breather if you're trying to figure out who's firing at you, what direction, etc. His gun, to me, was never the best, but it wasn't the point. It was more to make people mad. Now, since Overwatch 2, he had a charge shot. I just never got to where I used it a lot, though I should probably learn to use it more. But, you know, the place to always learn to do Winston is like jump everywhere, aggravate the hell out of these people, stay on the objective. If I get a couple of kills, great. Not the main objective. Just try to draw fire for the rest of the team. Hope they're doing their job. Do mine if I have to do the objective if I have to. Maybe we can flip this around, we'll see. He also has one cooler ultimates if you ask me. Now there you go. I never was the best at chatting with these games. I'd rather just play. Like, to me, it's a little more effort than usual just to speak into my mic while playing. Once again, to me, movement's key with Winston. You can camp behind your shield for a bit, but it's, if that's what you're doing it wrong. Overtime. Great. Good.
Score 1-0.
Yeah, those little quick things is about the best we ever do. Best I ever do. I am an I and a he. But anyway.
After this mission, I'm throwing a party. Hello. Greetings. May I say hi? Hello. Been a while. Hello. Affirmative. I've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
Here we go again. I am curious to see, though, what new missions we see in the new season, or how that actually works, because I think that's a little different than what they've done in the past. Curious about the new heroes. I think, from what they've shown and what I've read in impressions, they might be kind of straightforward, and they all might be characters that actually suits me. One is a tank named Dominus. She's kind of lore-wise adjacent to Symmetra or Lifeweaver. Just kind of does what they do as a tank. And she kind of seems like a direct, obvious tank about creating shields. A different mechanic for shields, but she makes shields. And I'm gonna try her just see if she suits me. May or may not. Well, spend time with Vendetta too. She seems pretty cool as a melee focused. Sometimes I get a little disoriented if you can't tell. I'm not the best player, I just really enjoy the game. Really enjoy the game. Well, at least my team's on point. Still getting used to these perks. Did I just drop? Yes, I did. I hope this gameplay is entertaining. Maybe not in the normal way, but still entertaining. So,
Onward and upward.
perks though are intriguing. There was something they wanted to get in Overwatch 2, but then they didn't. So, maybe that's something else I'm gonna have to learn.
Get in there, Bob.
Get in there, Bob. Always reload.
A pleasure.
It did go from a little bit. Okay. I don't know if that helps that much, but
Time to spring.
I'm
go
going
chain lightning.
bananas.
Let's get him.
You're safe with me.
I do use chain lightning gun. That's what it's doing. As you should. This actually can make Reinhardt's life miserable. Of course, Reinhardt can make Winston's life miserable if he really gets up close. Freya's got it.
Rocket barrage incoming.
Let's keep going. And so yeah, biggest thing of Overwatch 2 that got me away was they switched to a battle pass system, and at first you had to purchase heroes. Now that sucked because we had just went through years and years of free content updates. Basically, they wanted you to buy loot boxes. I did buy loot boxes. I also got a lot of loot boxes for free because I played the game a lot. And you know, kind of went from what I considered the ideal model: you buy the game, you buy some loot boxes if you like the game that much, to trying to stay online all the time with battle passes, like trying to keep people interested with battle passes. I just never was a fan. I don't like Fortnite. I really don't. And this attempt to make Overwatch more like Fortnite, you know,
Bob, do
it's
something.
just the way it was. I'll even give the Reinhardt guy all your endorsements. Never mind. So that's me playing a
It's nice.
match of Overwatch. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm at least glad I won. That I tried to do this for content. And leave in the comments down below. Tell me what, if you have any memories of Overwatch, what you think of Overwatch, what you think, if you think it's going to get any better for Overwatch going forward or not. I'm actually really interested to know what you want to say about it. I'm going to back out for now. Not sure. There we go. And And with that, I'm going to conclude this episode of the Blue Knight Cast. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share, and I hope you're as hopeful as I am that Overwatch becomes a better game going forward, and maybe one I get into streaming later. Uh, if this soft reboot actually works out for the better, really hope it does. Uh, but I'll try to come back soon with some other content about other games. And thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Have a good one.